Namaste and welcome to the next episode of Seedhi Baat. This is your host Lovepreet Kaur along with Pavan, and we are elated to welcome today with us Miss Yamini Bajaj from Canada. She will be sharing her views and ideas about immigration and the related challenges. Being an immigrant herself, she has seen the life of an immigrant very closely, and so she feels that there is a need that before people fly overseas, they must be knowing about why they are flying, what will they do, and how their life is going to be. So let's have her for some amazing discussions. I'm sure all of us will be benefited from whatever she discusses with us. Before we proceed, I want to congratulate Miss Yamini Bajaj for doing some excellent work being there in Canada. She is an event coordinator in her college and she has done extremely well making Indians proud. Thank you so much for joining with us, Yamini. And this brings me to my first question. What was your primary goal when you came to Canada? Was it to study or for business or for anything else? What was in your mind before you flew overseas?
Thanks, Lovepreet, for the great shout out. I'm sure there are other students or Indians here as well who are doing great things in their life and have done amazing jobs, and I really respect them. Uh, yeah, so my primary goal was to come to Canada to study as I wanted to experience abroad. How does it feel? How does it, staying without your family altogether? I was really a pampered kid when I was in India, and I belong from Delhi though. So I had everything. I had each opportunity. I was in DU, and I was helping my dad in his business as well. But I think I wanted more to it. I wanted to explore the world. I wanted to see what happens outside when you actually see the world from outskirts, right? So my main purpose was to study here and explore while I'm here, talk to people, make connections, make people laugh, make people happy, and make the most of my own life and being impactful altogether, right? To the youth itself, make my parents proud, as each kid wants that, I'm sure. But I think it's really very important to know what is the purpose of your goal, right? Is it to study? Is it for business? Is it you want to settle here? I think you want to be clear in your head and clean the air first and stop listening to people around you. I'd really like to say this to the youth that please, please, please stop listening to the world and start focusing on yourself, right? don't don't go after people who are actually buying cars, who are buying different things in their life, and you are doing the same just by seeing them, not because you want it, right? uh, and just climb the ladder one step at a time, definitely.
Very rightly said, Yamini. It's very important that whenever you take some crucial decisions in life, you look at all the broader aspects of the situation. Especially immigration, when you have to fly to a new country, not just adjust to the new environment, but a new set of people, new communities, even to the new time zone, climatic conditions, and everything else, you need to be very sure about what you want to do after flying there. So your goals must be very clear because until you know your destination, the journey does not seem to be very enjoyable. Very rightly said. This brings me to my next question. Do you think Canada is a very easy hotspot for the people to jump in? Because here in Punjab and in India in general, Canada has become one of the favorite spots of people, and people are even mocked for that. We have memes related to that. I have seen now a lot of people are after PR, so everyone wants to go there, get a permanent residence there. Education is just, I feel, I mean, I'm not sure about that, but yes, I do feel education is one of the primary steps for that, stepping stones. It's not used as a measure of getting yourself some good knowledge or getting yourself into a good institution where you have more opportunities. I feel it's more like a process of getting a PR. So what are your thoughts on that, and why Canada is one of the favorite hotspots?
Great question, Lovepreet. I've heard that question many times before too, and even my parents have asked me the same question over and over again. I definitely feel that, here in Canada, there's less population. Of course, there's competition everywhere, but there are more opportunities, multilateral opportunities out there here, so that people want to move here, right? This quality of life. If you take climate, I know it's extremely cold sometimes, but it's really great. There's no pollution whatsoever. There are rules that are implemented. There are great laws to people who value the life, the government itself. It's all great. I especially feel that. And yeah, I feel the same question at times, that some people forget their main goal as to study, as to make the rest of their life the best of their life. They're just into earning money and getting done with their PR. For some people it might be just to study further, and for some people it's just to be here, and move their family overseas altogether. But I think there is more to that. There is much more than getting the PR here. There's this quality of life. There is study that stays with you all your life, that people don't even pay attention to. I've seen people who haven't attended classes in months while being enrolled in the college and just into earning money, and they end up at bad places, and sometimes their luck works and they end up at good places. uh, but yeah, I really feel that the same question again and again, that PR has become the major goal for people nowadays, and especially the youth, right? Because they want to make the most of it. And how Punjabi says, and the memes that you're commenting about, it came through because of all of us, right? Who are here, who who bought the cars, who bought the houses while being on their study permits. I know it's all their hard work, but definitely there's much more than getting PR in Canada or any other country. And I'd really like to convey this message to the youth, that please, 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 when you go to the college, please get involved in your extracurricular activities. Uh, you can get an amazing job, make connections, make networks. You can find me even on LinkedIn as Yamini Bajaj. I feel that there's a much more need to people, for youth, to educate themselves and educate others as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think yes, the global connect is something help one when he goes abroad. I'd like to ask you my next question, and that is on your experience of Canadian system of education. How did you find it? I'm sure it was very different than what it is in India, and it'll obviously be different at a graduate level. So, what is your take on the system of education that is imparted at a graduate level in Canada? How did you find it?
Hi, Pavan. Again, great question. I think there are definitely a lot of factors rather than being just a student abroad or just a immigrant abroad. I think it's more like character building. There's certainly no other experience that's going to test you like turning up in a new location and starting a whole new life. But that's the exciting part, right? New experiences, new friends, new memories. If you want a new you, I think it's a great way to move into a different country altogether. And one of the main factors is to enhance your career. Again, as I said before, having the multilateral opportunities abroad, and there are a lot of it, and improving your job prospects altogether. And definitely, I feel that the culture shock will be of the very best kind. Even if you arrive in a new country where they speak the same language as you, nothing will prepare you for the change in culture. You'll meet people with a whole new perspective of life and find new ways of doing the most mundane things, right? And you will also have the opportunity to taste new foods. Uh, and definitely, all this will be worth it one day. It will be rewarding, and you will have your family to thank for it. You will develop your social skills, as it will be very beneficial. And when you're abroad, it's very, very important. You'll find new friends wherever you go. Like I went to Paris and Germany while I was here. And I never thought I could do it without my family, but I went there and it was a great, great experience. And learning a new language is always a great skill. And you will have a different lens altogether to look at your life, to look at your career, and it will change your life one way or the other forever. Thanks, Pavan, for that question. I think education in Canada is great, especially for the people who are here as PR and they're Canadian citizens. It's literally one third of what international students pay, and the schools are free until they do their actually high school. But overall, I think even for international students, the quality of education is really very good. They are doing best of their abilities to provide the education, and I think there's a lot to take from it. And I use the best example for it is that when we are in the class, there are 50 students in the class, and the professor teach the same thing to all 50 of them, but only I guess two or three do great in their life, others average, and maybe some of them poor, right? So I think the one who did actually great and were average, they actually heard what professor said. And it's really up to you what you want to learn from the education system, be it in India or be it in Canada. Definitely there are some differences, uh, but I think it's your own take, your own learning. You When you sit in the class, you need to ask questions. It's not like just for sake of attending classes. Especially in Canada, there most of the stuffs are online. So even if you are unable to make to the class, you are late, or you're doing anything else, it's you can cover it up online. And they're very strict on the deadlines, unlike India. So whenever there's an exam, you really need to come and give the exam on that particular period of time, until unless it's an emergency and you need a medical for that. But I feel that the education system is great. Uh, it's different from provincial to territorial, definitely, but I must really recommend if you are really into studies, you can. It's a good exploration skills as well because you learn a lot about doing things online. That was really very new to me as well.
Well, Yamini, I think we have discussed quite a lot about the positive aspects of immigration. People definitely fly out to other countries because they look for opportunities. But I'm sure there must be some other side to this coin as well. What is your opinion about the challenges and issues faced by the diaspora that are unaddressed and unacknowledged? Because life looks so beautiful from outside, but you being an immigrant, you must have closely seen the challenges and issues faced by the people who are going out as immigrants. So I want you to share something about it and shed light on these challenges.
I think that's a great question again because a lot of people ask this question and completely forget about the challenges that you can face and you might face while you're here. And definitely, some of them are underaddressed and unacknowledged. Uh, I really didn't know what I would do when I was here 3 years back and I first came here. But I think you face a lot of challenges, and one of them is homesickness, right? You actually miss everything you used to do, and you miss your family. Again, it's a mental and emotional trauma as well, altogether. Even getting lost. I mean, when I first came here, I knew that I didn't know where to go on the buses because I've never traveled in them before. So no matter how many maps you pour over or streets you memorize, you will inevitably find yourself in a sticky situation in an unfamiliar place. And obviously, when you're outside, you're obviously running low on cash. And especially, I think this is the great point because while we are in quarantine and we are all staying home, but some of the students or immigrants have to work because they are unable to apply for the benefits that are offered by the government. And that's where unaddressed and unacknowledged people came across because they're actually risking their whole life just to serve us, just to be an essential worker. And I really salute them. It's great what they're doing in their life, but it's so hard on them as well, right? Because their goal was to stay here, stay safe, and study and do their part-time job for their own funding, but they're actually putting themselves in risk altogether. And having and staying motivated to attend classes is the hardest of all. And I know when I came here, I had a time zone annoyance as well. Uh, and the hardest part is not knowing what's happening around you and being lost in a situation where you want to be actually being presence of mind up there, right? And always feeling like an outsider. You suddenly look around and you feel very alone. You're surrounded by others, and your looks, your fashion, your inability to communicate in the local tongue, or your general presence is very obviously different. Never before have you felt so out of place or disconnected. And there are obviously cross cultural barriers that always come into place no matter what, no matter where you go. And now that all that you have faced these challenges and you have overcome them, and then you have struggled through them, you have just fallen in love with this new place. You love everything about it, the sights, the sounds, the smells, the energy. Most importantly, you love the you that lives here. You feel more confident and self assured than ever, and you're dreading the thought of returning home to family pleasures, expectations, and responsibilities defined by others. You love the freedom and the adventure that comes along with it.
Well, independence and strength are two of the most common properties, which is common between all the youth leaders that we have been talking to in the course of time. I still remember whenever someone says the word independence, I always recall Nabila's example from Afghanistan, who has come here to India for her education. And she feels that the environment in India actually has made her become so much more independent and strong within herself. And it's good to see that the Indian children feel the same when they go to the other countries. When we talk about the cultural divide and how people do not get adjusted to the environment so easily, I'll quote a personal example here. Ever since I was born, I have been staying in different states of India. They have not flew abroad as an immigrant yet, and I don't plan to do so very soon. But yes, living in different states of the country because of my dad's profession itself was so challenging. While we were always in India, but still, from Delhi to Hyderabad and to the other states that I've been living in, there was a huge change in the environment, the culture, the people, the community. I always had to change my friend circle on a yearly basis, or maybe 2 years and 3 years. But yes, I've lived in different environments, and every time adjusting to a new environment, to a new climatic condition, to stay amongst different people and to make new friends was definitely a challenge. And by the time I got comfortable, we got another transfer. Well, I think that's quite a challenging task. You have to maintain your own authentic personality while mixing in the environment, because it's said in Punjabi, jaisa des, vaisa bhes. So you also have to adapt to the community that you're living in, but at the same time, you have to maintain your strong head personality there, which is quite a challenging task. And you have to be very strong, and I feel you have to make your mind for that before you fly to any other country as an immigrant. Along with this, as per my personal opinion, I really feel that people also undergo this feeling of inferiority complex when they are living in other countries. So a very common proverb in Hindi goes like अपनी गली में तो कुत्ता भी शेर होता है. So when we are in India or in our homes in our own states, we are like the kings. And when we fly to other countries, we initially have to start our career with some odd jobs, which we do to earn a living there. And sometimes, people also face this problem of ego, or maybe they don't want to do all of that, but they will do all of that when they're staying outside, because that's how you're going to earn. You're going out to be independent. So, you, first of all, the first and foremost thing you have to do is to become financially independent. And of course, in that kind of a situation, you definitely panic. The financial crisis comes upon you and you panic. So you have to work. Also, there is no emotional support, to be honest. You have a lot of difference in time zones. You hardly talk to your family. You don't have anyone to actually handle you there, to give you a hug and say that everything is okay. You cannot be dependent upon someone. So you solely and wholly have to be independent. And the first step to it starts with being financially independent. So some of the immigrants, they can be students or people in general, who fly out actually have the caliber of bearing all the stress and pressure, and they pass out with flying colors. They become something. They own a position there. While there are some others who are not able to bear that pressure, they do break down. So, in this kind of a situation, it's very genuine to actually get busy with your lives. You don't have time. You're studying, you're working, and you're doing other stuff as well. I've seen that in my own friend circle. Some of the friends who fly together from India no more remain friends when they fly, when they go outside. So, what's your opinion about Indian students actually catching up there, actually connecting there, supporting each other, staying by each other? And what do you think is the situation of connections and bonds, especially among Indian students in Canada?
I think connection altogether comes up with the part of having your own perspective about each situation, no matter where you are, no matter what you do, right? If you want to stay connected with your roots, being an Indian, being Spanish, being French, if you want to connect it with your roots, you will eventually, right? and and that's I think I really like the point where you pointed out about financial independence, and you pointed out about the family. And I think it's really very important to stay connected to your roots, but you should not be afraid to adapt and try to live with what is around you, right? And your phrase in Hindi is really great, yeah. And I think any kind of work that you do here or in India, there's no shame in it, right? Because you are doing everything for your living, for your family, or maybe you're striving for your own career. I think most IAS, UPSC are Indians, right? And they're doing great in their life. They have great jobs, they do great things, they come up with highest ranking. However, I feel when it comes to connections of Indians, there are different religions and cultures in India as well, as you already mentioned, because you have been to all states and different provinces itself in India. So I literally can feel you. But I think the most important factor is how, as an individual, you want to connect with the other person, be it Indian, be it from any other culture, from any other race, from any other religion. I think I have friends from Nigeria. I think I have friends from Mexican countries, and it's great to know them and know about their whole country and learn their language. But I miserably failed, to be honest, in that. But uh, uh, connection is important, and you need to draw the line of connection to be with somebody who is good for you, and or to be with somebody who is negative for you, right? Sometimes people come here, get into bad habits, adapt a bad culture, and go into the wrong direction. So it's either or choice at times that you make, and it's really up to you how you want to connect it with the person itself. And it's really, really very important to be that way, but it's not always work out the same way for everybody. And again, I think it's great to be financial independent. And even if you want to stay connected, you will just make it work, right? You will make it work to make time for your friends. However, did you came from India together or you did not? But if you want to stay in touch, you eventually will.
Very true. As important it is to connect, it is equally important to connect with right people for the right purposes. In my opinion, there are two ways you can connect with people. I know quite a few people who have actually connected there for good purposes, like social service, in awareness drives, for some small initiatives, have joined hands with NGOs, and are actually working out there for good things. In my opinion, there are two ways you can connect with people. I know quite a few people who have actually connected there for good purposes, like social service, in awareness drives, for some small initiatives, have joined hands with NGOs, and are actually working out there for good things. Well, on the other hand, there are some people who actually connect for not so good reasons. They actually sit and hang out with people who have wrong habits, and eventually they also adapt those wrong habits, or else they are doing things which somehow disgraces their families and disgraces the country also. They are harming the reputation of the country that way, to be very honest. I really feel that when you go out to stay somewhere else, you should understand that you're going there for your personal benefit, but also you have a responsibility of your country's reputation, your family's reputation, and in fact your own reputation on your shoulders. Understanding that you must represent yourself in a very good way, and you must definitely involve in some good things out there, because I know for a reason that in countries abroad you have so many opportunities for actually doing some good social work and meaningful work. Youth empowerment and youth associations are very prominent in countries abroad, even more than India. And I feel they have more resources and more reasons to connect. And when they connect, they actually come up with some really good work. Now, I would like to ask Pavan here if he has any question for Yamini, because he was very interested to know about immigration trends in other countries as well.
Thank you, Yamini, for giving us a brief understanding of how things work in Canada and how students connect with themselves and maintain the bond and also try to maintain the culture of Indians over there. But the question I have is regarding a very new trend that I observed, and this has been the trend at least from 2017 onwards, ever since Donald Trump became the president of the United States. And that is, people are Indian students in particular are preferring to go to Canada over United States or United Kingdom. Why is that so? And is there a basis behind it? Is it the immigration problems in the US or is it anything else? What more is it? Could you throw some light on that, please?
Pawan, I think that's a very immigrant kind of a question, and I might not know the whole thing or whole science behind it, but according to me, I have shared my insight with you even before, and I'd like to say that uh, I think there is again quality of life that youth today is looking forward towards, and that they don't see in India, but they forget that they are the one who can make that quality of life in India itself. No matter where they go, no matter where you are, how you are living yourself as an individual makes a difference in your life and everybody else's as well. And I really don't know if that's a trend or something else, but I feel that it's a personal opinion again. And as an individual, everybody have right to move around the world, go explore, and look for new opportunities wherever they get, and look for great becoming and looking towards becoming a great person altogether. And that's it that I have for this.
I strongly believe Yamini's views and insights about immigration and related challenges is really helpful for all of us. Yamini, if you had to give one piece of advice to all the listeners, and some of them might also be planning to immigrate soon for their education or any other purpose, what would be that? What advice would you like to give, and how would you sum up your whole experience of living in Canada?
I had a great time discussing all these amazing things with you guys, starting from my experience and the people here, the challenges, and everything together. Uh, I think it's really very important to, again, know your goals, know where you are, know where you stand, develop your skills. And my piece of advice would be a narrow focus brings big results, which means if you have a set goal in your life, a set focus in your life that you want to go abroad for a certain thing, it will bring big results. Because sometimes we see people around us and they are doing better than you, right? So, why is that? Did you think of that? It's because their focus is narrow. That's why they have series of small wins that can give us the most significant success in our life. Thank you for having me again, Lovepreet and Pavan. It was great having you and great discussing all the big things and the small things together. And everybody, please be patient and persistent throughout your life. Life is not so much what you accomplish as what you overcome. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for joining us on this episode, Yamini. It was a pleasure working with you. Thanks for sharing your valuable experiences and views. Thanks for all the time that you gave us and managed so beautifully, even while living in absolutely different time zones. We are truly obliged by your presence, and we hope our listeners would be benefited. Immigration, I feel, probably is one of the most critical trends, and such a beautiful analysis of this situation was the need of the hour. Thanks a lot for joining us on this episode, Yamini. It was a pleasure working with you. Thanks for sharing your valuable experiences and views. Thanks for all the time that you gave us and managed so beautifully, even while living in absolutely different time zones. We are truly obliged by your presence, and we hope our listeners would be benefited. Immigration, I feel, probably is one of the most critical trends, and such a beautiful analysis of this situation was the need of the hour. And Yamini Bajaj, you have done a commendable job. We wish you luck for your future endeavors. It's true that we humans are very scared of questioning ourselves. Even if someone does not question your choice or decision, it's important that you yourself question every time you decide something. You should be aware of why you're deciding to go out, why you want to settle in some other country, why you want to study in some other country. Why is very important because when you know your destination, the journey feels absolutely amazing. To all our listeners, thank you all for joining us. We will see you in the next episode. This is your host, Lovepreet Kaur, signing off.